Hey guys, welcome back. So, in our last video, we were talking about fighting temptation. This Nofap challenge is obviously all about temptation and finding the way to, um, I guess, trying to center yourself, right? I was talking about how I was tempted to, like, let go of my aggression, and just like give into my emotions. And honestly, like emotional intelligence is about controlling your reactions, your thoughts, and your emotions as you go through your motions of everyday life. Some people get caught up in this like whole self-development process where it's almost like all they're doing is like work, 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 work. And then the only pleasure that they get is like maybe watching some porn, right? And they're satisfied with that. They won't even go out just because they know they have a lot of work. And what happens is that we take ourselves way too serious and we don't actually enjoy the process. So what happens is that sometimes when we do this, we isolate people. So we kind of like break ourselves from everybody else, and it becomes like this sheltering nutshell that basically makes us not want to go out at all whatsoever. And as humans, reading this book, Social, we have the need to want to be social. What happens is that this is an innate thing that happens when we're actually born. We need the care from our mothers because we're born underdeveloped. So that's why humans, when they're born, they're so needy. Times like I'll get caught up with like improving. Like, what's the next thing? What can I work on? Like, what can I learn? And some people actually take this to the extreme where they're like, they need pain. Pain is like a blessing in disguise, and they don't really understand that sometimes you don't need pain to learn. You don't need pain to actually grow. Of course, pain is awesome, but then they get caught up in that like that mentality, and what happens is that they need it, so they become like the victim. So it's like this victim mentality, and of course they become like jaded, and it becomes this like spiral down. So enjoying the process is something that, if you work very hard, enjoy it. Go out and celebrate. That means like letting loose sometimes, maybe getting a drink or something like that. And what happens is that once you start letting loose, you start seeing things that's not so serious. People take you more laid back. You become more genuine because you're not as like stiff, because what happens is that you're in this narrow mind focus, and it becomes so difficult to like even like make that shift, because what happens is that the parts of our brain that make us social is when we're not really focused on the task, which is the funniest thing. So what happens is that you'll have like people in class that are very talkative because their minds are wandering, and the other people that are very focused is because they're task oriented. So that's why we have like introverted and extroverted people. Find a pleasure in everyday things. It becomes like a burden, and that starts weighing on you, and it's not good for the soul. What I was listening to was David Alt for the Spiritual Center of Atlanta. Great reverend that implements like Christianity and some spirituality together, but very wise man. Of course, he goes like off the cuff improv, so it's like I love it. And he is so eloquent in the way that he describes things, and he's talking about like thin slicing. And this is the most important thing that I want you guys to take, is that I may not know now, but there's something inside of me that actually does know. So that's that gut instinct, right? You have infinite potential. And what happens is that, people get caught up in like, okay, the results, all right, what's next, and they don't really understand that like you have to enjoy it. Like if you have a birthday, it's not like some other day. Like, enjoy being alive. So you have to like take the time out of your day to celebrate. In Catholicism, where it's like honor your father and mother, but it's also like honoring parties. You have to do that. That's part of your soul. And once I learned that, and like I heard that at the same time, I was just like, wow, that is so true. Because anything that I do, I try to do it with such conviction, but what happens is that I'm too serious. and I take life too serious, and life is not that serious all the time. Of course, we have to be serious because we all die, but if you're serious, then you're focusing on too much, and you're not focusing on like everything else that's passing by from you. All these people that can give you so much more insight in life that are out there. You have to get out of your house. It's so funny because like people will be in their house because they're like they're agoraphobic. They hate going out, and people die in their own house. They never know what's gonna happen. It could be like some freak accident, 1,000 ways to die, and it's just like he never lived, right? So enjoy the process. And what I want to do is like kind of like segue into a next video like later on in the week about kind of finding that gut instinct and just letting go of all expectations. All right, guys. So I hope this helped. It's like 5 o'clock in the morning, so I gotta go to sleep. All right, guys. So I'm out and about. What I just talked about. Peace.